Hi, my name's Adam Schneider. I'm a sound designer, and today I'll be showing you how to make an 808 style snare on the Dave Smith Tempest. Here's what the original Roland 808 snare sounds like. And here's what the snare sounds like on the Tempest. The first thing we want to do is initialize our sound. Make sure that there are no oscillators loaded into oscillators 1, 2, 3, or 4. Let's start by creating some noise. Go to oscillator 3 and select resonant 4K noise as your source. Turn the level down to 94, and for frequency, select +2 semitones. Make sure that your pre-post filter is set to 100/0 so that your digital oscillators are going through the low-pass and high-pass filters. Next, let's shape our sound by going into the amp envelope section. Leave the attack at 0, set the decay to 48, set the peak to 13, and because we want our snare to be velocity sensitive, set the amount to 20 and ensure that the velocity amount is set to 127. Next, we need to give our amp envelope a little bit more snap. Click on the Mod Matrix button. Assign amp envelope as your source, amp envelope decay as your destination, and then set the amount to 15. This bends the amp envelope to give it a quicker decay. Now let's go into our filter section. Start by setting the low-pass filter in 2-pole mode, and then set the low-pass frequency to 142 with no resonance. To take out some of the low end, we'll set our high-pass frequency to 3. Now that we have our noise, we'll be adding a sine wave to give our snare some tone. Start by selecting oscillator 4. Go to sample 369, a digital sine wave. Tune the frequency down 7 semitones, and use the fine-tuning knob to tune it down an additional 32 cents. Next, we want our sine wave to have a quicker decay than our noise. To do this, we'll be using the aux1 envelope to modulate the level of oscillator 4. Start by turning the level of oscillator 4 down to 0. Next, select the aux1 envelope. Use the right cursor button to go to the destination page and select oscillator 4 level. Use the left cursor button to go back to the envelope settings. Leave the attack at 0 and set the decay to 67. Set the amount to 65. And set the velocity amount to 25 so the sine wave gets a little bit louder the harder we hit it. Next, let's add a little bit of analog noise to our sound to give it some color. Start by going into the Mod Matrix. Go to Mod 2 and select Noise as your source, Oscillator 1 frequency as your destination, and turn the amount up to 127. Next, let's go to Oscillator 1. Select the triangle wave as your waveform, and turn the frequency up to C#7. Let's use another auxiliary envelope to control the volume of our noise. Start by turning the oscillator 1-2 mix control to a setting of 0/100 to mute oscillator 1. Now let's select the aux2 envelope. Use the right cursor button to navigate to the destination page and select oscillator 1-2 mix, and then use the left cursor button to return to the envelope settings. Turn the attack up to 7 to give the analog noise a slight fade in. Set the decay to 30, and set the amount to -30. To hear more of the noise, turn it to -127. For our purposes, we want a more subtle noise, so set it back to -30. We now have our snare sound. For one last minor adjustment, let's return to the Mod Matrix. Because oscillator 3 is a digital noise source, we're going to randomize its pitch a little to give it some subtle variation. Set the source to random, set the destination to oscillator 3 frequency, and turn the amount up to 1. It's a subtle effect, but it gives the snare a little bit more analog variety. Again, let's compare the original 808 snare to our Tempest recreation. Thanks for watching.